Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Last time y'all saw me, I turned 18, so I can officially go to jail and get a piercing and get a tattoo. That's around that's pretty much like everything I can do, at my new grown age. But yeah, Happy New Year, even though it's literally February 1st, so I don't know why I'm saying that right now. I mean, I should have been saying that. Honestly, my goal for this year is just to post more and just like be in my creative era, be in my element, focus on myself, focus on my goals, and actually feel like I'm doing something that, contributes to my career in a way. Hopefully, you guys relate to that. So, for today's video, I'm doing something that I've always wanted to do, and it's making me actually excited just talking about it. I basically started writing these little journal entries kind of during like quarantine, the end of quarantine. I started them, I think, in 2021. I think that's the first year that's on my Google Doc, because that's what they're in. They're all in like a Google Doc. And even till this day, like 2024, I literally wrote something yesterday. So it's been a few years that I've been doing this, and I've always wanted to share my readings with people, but I've never really known how, because I'm like, podcasts, like my generation isn't really like into podcasts that much. I mean, like, if I saw somebody my age putting out a podcast, I might listen to the first 30 seconds of it, but am I really gonna listen to that? No. And I need to be for real with myself. I know I'm not gonna listen to it, so I'm not even gonna waste my time trying to do a podcast knowing that, like, people my age don't really do that. So I'm like, well, let me just make a video of me reading my stories and just talking to you guys. Hopefully I could find my audience that relates to me and understands me, and that's honestly my goal. People always ask me, what do you want to do, like, with your career, Jakari? Like, what do you want to be? And I've never had a specific answer for what I want to be. I just know what I want to do, and I know the impact that I want to have in this world. Meaning, I want to be able to create things that inspire people. People relate to. I want to be that person that I feel like I've never had, in a sense. Like, I've always wanted somebody to inspire me, to look up to, somebody to have my back, like somebody just like that just embodies me almost. Like, and I've always wanted to be that person for other people. So I kind of want to be like your big sister, your cousin. I'm not really old enough to be an auntie, just turned 18, chill on that. But I just want to be like a helping hand to the world, if you get my drift. So let's just get right into it. I've been yapping enough. It's already been like 3 minutes. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just a yapper. It's who I am. This is real. This is me. It's exactly where I'm supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Camp Rock. Alrighty, here we go. Oh my god. Okay. So, my whole life I've always felt like an onlooker. I feel as if I'm surrounded by people, watching them live their lives whilst not really being present. My body is there physically, but mentally I'm always somewhere else, never feeling a direct connection into their reality. At one point in time, I blamed my feelings about being a shadow girl on my friend group. It was when I really stepped back and explored my individuality that I realized this feeling is just deep rooted inside of me. No matter what I do or how I look, y'all. Anyways, gonna have to start over, because that really just made me mad. Anyways. The first entry that I'm going to read for you guys is called I Am a Shadow Girl. I wrote this in 2022 on May 26, 2:11 p.m. My whole life I've always felt like an onlooker. I feel as if I'm surrounded by people, watching them live their lives whilst not really being present. My body is there physically, but mentally I'm always somewhere else, never really feeling a direct connection into their reality. At one point in time, I blamed my feelings about being a shadow girl on my friend group. It was when I really stepped back and explored my individuality that I realized this feeling is just deep-rooted inside of me. No matter what I do or how I look, I always seem to feel unseen by others. Hence, the name Shadow Girl. I feel as if when I walk through a school building, the only person who feels my presence It's me. Normally one would think I feel this way because I'm just more to myself, but that's not the case here. I often wonder if I'm just not approachable, but maybe that's just all in my head. I am often so deep in thought that sometimes I believe the things above, that I am just a shadow girl and nobody notices me. That is, until someone finally reaches out to me and I'm pulled back into reality. Whenever a person I've never directly talked to knows my name or compliments me or even mentions how they see me around. It's crazy that sometimes I believe that I'm not noticed, a shadow girl. Which makes me ask you, have you been living in your own shadow? If so, I want you to know that you're noticed and maybe even liked by many. You won't always get that reassurance, which is why you must be content with who you are and how you present yourself. Although you feel unseen, there's always somebody admiring you from afar, wishing they could get the courage to speak with you, be your friend, or maybe even something more. Maybe even wishing they were like you in some way. I also want you to think about how sometimes other people live in their shadows as well. So, next time you see that person you've always thought was cool, speak to them. You never really know who might need to be pulled back into reality. So, that's the end of that journal entry. The space that I was in when I wrote this was, I was really struggling with my identity in a sense, which I feel like a lot of young adults are, especially like during quarantine. Like, you're forced to be by yourself, you're isolated from everyone. Like, you might be talking to your friends, but you can't really see them that much because of COVID, all those restrictions. And then but like for me, as a person who didn't really have friends, imagine how I felt like during COVID, when like not only did I not have friends, like I was isolated from everyone and forced to just be in my room all the time. And like my room kind of became a safe place in a sense, but also like a fucking prison. Like, oh my God. Like, when I tell you I didn't leave my room, I slept all day, like all day. And it came to a point where my parents started to worry about me, but I didn't even necessarily know like what to do, how to fix it, because I don't know, like it's kind of hard to encourage yourself to get out of that hole. Sometimes you just get comfortable where you are, and it's hard to think like to do something different. Like, of course you think, oh, I want better for myself, but that takes effort. And when you're already so low in your life, I mean, you're not looking to do any effort. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, you're just like, I feel like shit, but I don't want to do anything to not make me feel like shit, because then that requires me to do stuff, and I don't feel like doing anything because I feel like shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a chain of events. It really is. And when I was in quarantine and I was forced to just sit with myself all the time and just sit with my thoughts, I really just realized that I had no idea who the fuck I was. I was just like, who am I? Because, when you're at school, you kind of get to like blend in, be a background character. Even though like, you might feel isolated, you don't have any friends, you're still constantly around people like who are like you in a sense. So you're not technically alone. But during quarantine, I think that's really the time where I had to sit with myself and realize, like, you don't know who you are. Like, Jakari, you really don't know who you are, and it's time to start figuring it out. So, it honestly was really hard for me to not have anybody, but I think in a sense it definitely made me stronger. I definitely started to find hobbies. Like, I went through like a long list of hobbies, just trying to figure out like who I am, what I like, what inspires me, what my creative process was. Like, what was gonna make me feel better? What was gonna be my release? Like, I needed to find an outlet for like all the emotions that I was feeling, because I was just bottling them up inside, and it was literally tearing me apart. Like, actually tearing me apart. So, I mean, I don't want to say I completely know who I am today, February 1st, 2024, but I feel like I definitely have a sense of self now versus, a couple years ago when I first wrote that journal entry, I'm a shadow girl. And when I say I blamed it on my friend group at the time, I used to hang around like a lot of popular girls. And before y'all be like, popular girls, that shit exists. And if you try to say that shit don't exist, it exists. Like middle school, high school. I wouldn't really say college necessarily. I don't think there's really popular people in college, but definitely middle school and high school and maybe elementary school if they start off that young. But there's definitely like popular people. And if you say it's not, you're telling a story. But I used to try to hang out with the popular people, and you know, when you're around people who are so well liked or seem to be so well liked by, like, you know, society in general, you want to mold yourself into those people because you're like, well, everybody likes them. Well, I want to be them. So I feel like that's kind of what I started to do, and that caused me to lose my sense of individuality, and I started to act like them. Like, they moved, I moved. They hopped, I hopped. Like, you know, type stuff like that. And that was just not a good place. That was not a good place for me. Like, I mean, every person I was meeting, I was just molding myself into that person because I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of, if I show who I am to people and I'm vulnerable with people and I'm, you know, I'm authentically myself, what if these people don't fucking like me? And to me, that was way scarier than pretending to be somebody else. You know, because when you pretend to be somebody else, it's like they're not necessarily judging you. They're judging, like, this persona, this facade that you're putting on. So that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, well, they're not really judging me. But, like, they literally are judging you. Because versus them judging me for, you know, authentically being myself, now they're judging me for being a fucking follower. Which is worse. So it was so much worse. Oh, my God. So now, not only am I lame because I follow up behind people, I'm also lame because I have no individuality. And I'm just following up behind. Like, that was insane. Y'all, that was insane. But I guess what I'm kind of getting at here and, like, why I wrote Shadow Girl is I feel like at that point in time, I was living in my own shadow. Like, I was literally stopping myself from becoming an individual by following up behind all these other people and looking around and seeing all the attention that other people were getting. And I just kind of started to neglect myself and, you know, who I wanted to be and, like, what my interests were in general. And I started to think about, am I really invisible to everyone? Because, you know, you all have those moments where, like, you know, someone might say, oh, I like your outfit, or when you meet somebody that you've never directly had a conversation with and they know your name, or, you know, they've seen you before, or they're like, oh, I saw you the other day, and, you know, you have kind of like those little moments, and I want you to be inspired by those little moments and think to yourself, like, wow. Because that's exactly what I thought to myself. Whenever I had those little moments, I'm like, damn, like, I really thought nobody thought I existed. Like, I really thought nobody noticed me. I thought that I just walked around being, like, a fucking ghost. I thought nobody, like, looked at me. And when people came up to me and was like, oh, I've seen you around, or, oh, yeah, I saw you at this event, or I like your hair, or blah, blah, blah. You need to cherish those moments, and you need to think to yourself, wow, like, somebody does see me. I am seen. But you also need to be content with the fact, squirrel guys, sorry. But you also need to be content with the fact that you're not always going to get that reassurance. The squirrels, they're killing me, man. But you also need to be content with the fact that you're not always going to get that reassurance that you're seen and that you're noticed. You know what I mean? Because think about you yourself, or think about, like, everyone. You see cute people all the time. You don't tell them that they're cute, do you? Well, you might if you're bold, and period to you if you are. But you probably don't do that to everyone, even if you do tell people that they're cute. I mean, just think about all the opinions that you've had about people and you haven't told them. Like, if you thought a girl was, like, nice and you wanted to be her friend and you didn't tell her. Or when you saw somebody wearing a cute outfit and you didn't tell them it was cute. Like, think about all of those moments, because you're not always going to get that reassurance that, you know, you're noticed, you're seen, that people like you, that people admire you. You're not always going to get that. So you need to be content with yourself. You need to be content with, well, do I like the way that I look? Do I like the way that I present myself to everyone else? Because once you're happy with yourself and once you're content with who you are, then other people can sense that. Other people can sense, wow, like, she's really in her own element. Like, when you walk past somebody, or even when you have, like, a brief conversation, like, there's just so many, like, vibes that you give off. And the vibes that you want to give off is you're content with yourself and you like who you are. Because even if somebody doesn't necessarily like your personality, they're going to respect the fact that you're content in who you are. Because that's honestly what everybody wants deep down. I feel like everybody deep down just wants to be happy with who they are. And they want to be authentically themselves. So, yeah. That was my little chat with you guys. So next time that you see somebody and you think they're cute or you like their outfit, I feel like you should definitely tell them. Just like I said in Shadow Girl, like make somebody else feel noticed. You know what I'm saying? But thank you guys so much for listening. You have an amazing day. And oh my God, these squirrels are killing me. I'm literally about to fight y'all. But anyways, please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I hope you guys like this kind of video. This is my first time doing anything like this, and more videos soon. Bye.